You see Chaim's background? He's on the beach. You're not going to get that in Muncie, I can tell you that much. Amish looks like the Keys, man. You got to go down south for that. You're all clean shaven. You're not clean shaven yet. It's the hachana to the avelus. So first, you powder yourself up. That's the way it works. What's the dink? You shave tonight. I think so. I know so. But Rav Moshe Feinstein says you can. That's why you have this on the table. I was looking it up. Yeah. He's Samich on a Balamor. There's one day in Rishonim, which is the Balamor, that you don't say Anenu tonight. It's against often Yerushalmi, okay, that the Rif brings. Okay, he says we can't pass in this Yerushalmi. Okay, what can you do? Okay, the Goyim paskin that Yerushalmi. You understand? He has a gears in the Gemara. The Goyim didn't have that gears. It's okay. You know the way it works. So according to the Balamor, in case you're interested, you can shave tonight. That's Rav Moshe Feinstein. I just read it today. Now, here it is, my red books. It's in Chelik Aleph Kuf, something or another Ches. I don't know. You can look it up. That means for a wedding tonight. Okay, for a guy's going out, and I had this in the Ger Lemais. I remember when I was dating, as I was hastening dating. So I had to meet this young lady, and it was a Leil Shiva Sibatamus. And I wanted to shave. So thank God for Moshe Feinstein. That's the Shasat Chag Gadol and Shasat Chag Gadol. B'chlal, by us, the minig was that for certain tzrachim we were making this. We're not going into that. Today it's a different world, okay? In all Gechever, everyone Friday, we're talking about whatever, Erev Shabbos they shaved. Okay, it's based on some cipher, whatever. I'm not giving you coolest. You should all look like pirates. It's very nice. It's part of it being nice and Jewish. Look like pirates. Okay, so if you don't want to look civilized, it keeps the beard going. But it's don't look like pirates. I told you my minig. I'm waiting for me to come back. My minig sphere was always as a bach. I always was like the minig of Marais Stein, but in the in the Maril, which is the minig of Vilna. I would shave until Rosh Chodesh, and then do sphere for all the way until Shavuos. Cheshbon was very pashut because until Rosh Chodesh I was walking between civilized human beings. It was Ben Azmanim. I didn't want to look like a pirate. Afterwards, I'm in the yeshiva anyway. What's the difference what I look like? You know what I mean? That doesn't matter. So, the push the cheshbon. You think that way. You're in people. You shouldn't look like a moron. Try your best, as long as it's halachically possible. So that's what I used to do. Then finally, this came in. It doesn't matter anymore. What's the difference? I look whatever I look like. So. I told you I wanted to shave at the age of 65. My wife doesn't let me. I gained too much weight. Won't look good. Okay. So we basically learned. We saw the shittas of Rashbam, and we saw the Rush basically explaining it the way he explained. Obviously, he did not have the Gilsush of Fanenu. We saw everybody else, literally. Okay, we saw the Ramban. We also noticed that the Ramban didn't have you only saw the Rashbam in the Razoim Ba'abasra. He didn't have the Rashbam Ba'abasra, which is an important idea. Therefore, I have no problem because Karavina tell you. Was I younger, I tried to stick the rush into the Rashbam Shulfanenu. It's that emes. So it's a waste of time and effort. It doesn't smell right. I don't know what everything that came up was very bright, but that's not the way the rush thinks. He would have said it. There's something missing here. Someone would have he would have mentioned there's a problem at the end of the rush. He doesn't. So the Teretz says the world that goes with Pashas. He didn't see it. If the Ramban didn't see it, he didn't see it. The older Ramban saw was what the Balamor brings, and the Balamor Taka brings the Rosh Bam Shalafanenu. So I don't know what the Rosh saw. He doesn't bring that part. So that's the way it is. Now there's a Taisvus like that. I don't know if I mentioned Taisus and Baba Kama says that. Taisus and Baba Kama, Daf Yud Beis and Aleph. Taka says that it's Shita. Shita of Taisus Baba Kama. Baba Kama Yud Beis and Aleph. Is Taka like the Rashbam brought down in the Rosh. Taisus writes in Baba Kama Yud Beis and Aleph. V'Ramascha Anom Asnita Yadana. This is weiter. The Gemara brings the machlokes of Avdik Mekarka Dami, Avdik Metaltalin Dami. Taisha says the Bekama Afagav the Bekama Duchna Ashkechon the Mekarka Dami Lian Ainoah Vishvua. We saw that the Gemara by Metzia by Ainoah and the Gemara by Shvua. Now, what's it from? Let's remember where that's really from. There's no source that Avdik Mekarka. It's a Gemara. The Gemara says that there's a. Let's understand the Yafusis. Understand how this really works. The Gemara only learns from Klal Pratu Klal. Okay, it learns from Pikadon. Mapik stam Pikadon is davar matatel of gufay mamain. Af kol davar matatel of gufay mamain. Lafuka karka she'enei davar matatel. Lafuka avadim shehukshu lekarkos. That's how it works. Okay, let's just understand how these Yafusas works. Let's understand what these words mean. Now, if you're going, what are you saying here? You're saying basically this is the Yafusa. This is the Yafusa. Okay, and the similar thing applies also by Ainoah is different. Ainoah comes from the pasuk is even worse. The drush of Ainoah, it says Eikona miyada misecha, davar nikna miyad liyad. That's the Gemara in Bab Mitzvah. Davar nikna miyad liyad. That means metalto lafuka karka, which is not nikna miyad liyad. And then we say huksha avodim, v'gam lafuka avodim shehukshu lekarkos. Now let's try to understand the brises. What do they? These Yafusas. What do they mean? We're learning from Davar. There's no din of karka and metalton. We need nayad velo nayad. When I talk about metalton, I think about not just the fact that it's metalto. The idea is not karka. Okay, that's how you think about it. When you think of karka, you don't think as in juxtaposition to metalton. It means to say it's not nayad. That's amifchan b'pasuk. The criterion of the pasuk is it mobile or not? That's two criteria. No one said the word karka there. It says it or by it's even clearer. By noise, it simply says economy yad amisecha. That's what he's talking about. When you bought it for something that you can move from hand to hand. Okay, that's all it says. It doesn't say metaltalin like some kind of a holy word in the Gemara. It just means something which is mobile. You can transfer it from hand to hand. No. So you're going to say lafuka karka because normally karka. What happens at karka, which is an otzitz nakuv? Has a din of mechuber. We learned get near. Just okay, whatever. Some people, I don't know. Did you read Gittin? I don't know. Someone did something. Whatever. Did you open the book? I'm very impressed. I'm sitting next to Yin German here. Okay, I'm using his shas. The whole freaking shas is lined up. The kid finished it. You can see where a few holes that he has. He finished it. He has this nice 5-volume, a small mini shas with thin paper. It's all marked up. That's a bacher. No, he's just freshly married, but that's what a bacher looks like. Okay? You buy these small shas and they're only 5 volumes. Harry Potter is bigger. Yeah, I'm not joking. He is takish, they're more than 5 volumes. There's 5 volumes, they don't tell me. I don't know. Is there 5 volumes? Shmuel, there 5 volumes in Harry Potter. 7. Chinas Shabbos. So you see, Harry Potter is bigger than Shas Bavli. Kannst dich vorstellen? And this guy, so I loved it. There, he actually doesn't touch Taisvus. That's interesting. But he went through it. So to see it. It's a play. I didn't say anything to him, but it's really nice to see. Okay. He's the son-in-law of an old Talmud of mine. So I told his father-in-law, called him up, said, listen, Zachita me'efgil. Okay. Okay. Nachis to mine's a town zaid. Good to zach. Anyway, so his father-in-law was the first year, and he didn't give almost by me. That's like 41 years ago. Okay. Anyway, so this is the Gemara. So it says metaltel. So what does it mean? How do you understand that? I mean, the word is metal. The word is konabiyad. That's what you learn. Something mobile, something you can move. Okay, so you say karka can't move. So what does it mean huksha avoda, but they can't move? What's it in by nuts? It's nakuv. Is it nikna b'chazaka or b'shicha? So first, it is roim shebetoicha and nikna b'din chatzar, but that's no raya. Chatzar is also b'din yad, so it doesn't have to be mechuber. I'm asking you, what's it in? My utz is nakov eved, and utz is nakov, and an eved is even less mechuber than an eved. Than even if eved is a karka, is another shaila that was mechuber. That's a push a Rash Mishans that says he thinks it is, but not everybody else. It's a Rash Mishans in Machshir. Yeah. What are you looking at for? What? It's a Rash Mishans. Kivega brings the Rash Mishans. Thank God for at least he does that. Okay. But he buys with the Kashi. He says that everybody disagrees with him. The Sefer Shulchan disagrees with him. So that's what Nishgefel. The Rash Mishans says he's Mechuber. It's interesting to see that. Okay. But at the end of the day, Pashtus, let's talk Sachlis. As far as what halacha was after if he's mechuber, only if you can check with his nail. There's no shaila of trumas or mices that coming out of his ears. Okay, but if fake Tachlis, what after mina? He's muslim yad liyad. Who cares? Who cares? You tried to explain to me the concept of mechuber. We'll talk business. We'll see in a minute with that. We have to explain it, because except for using words which don't mean anything, they have to mean something. If not, it can't happen. Okay, that's a cloud gadol. We don't just. It's kind of design an Irishkeit. Okay, so what does it mean over here? How do you understand? I want you to know how you do drushes. What does it mean hukshalika? So what? It's a simple question. Okay. But I know specifically by metalton is also davar metalton v'gufay moment. So davar metalton gomarnu doesn't if that if you would say davar, does it mean metaltalin in a lumdus like metaltalin like in Ashkenazish in Yiddish versus kalka, or does it mean metaltalin? What is it? Is this like in Yiddish, or is this like in Hebrew, in Aramaic? Actually, it's in Aramaic. It's not in Yiddish. It's not metaltel. It's metaltel. No, חייך תעשה טובה, העבד מטלטל, אז מה זה, הוא קרקע, הוא קש לקרקעות. Now explain that. So obviously it doesn't mean מטלטל, it means הוא קש לקרקעות. But for goodness sakes, גם קרקעות זה לא בגלל שזה קרקעות, זה בגלל שזה לא מטלטל. So can someone please, I'm asking you, now I'm being curious, we're going to do Chavrusa today, it's a small class, right? Okay, Alip Shat, what would you do? You obviously asked the question when you learned together. No question about it, right? You ever say Elf on a copy, you would ask the question, what would you say? This is the stage where I pray that someone would say something atrociously stupid. Say something. Come on, come closer. I can't see you. Oh, right. For your putter. I thought only Saul hates me. Go on, right. There's no achuza here. I'm not doing so. You mean there? Okay. Once is word achuza.
By Evan and by Karka, the Torah.
Not sure is the word, right?
But it's telling us that which the demon that apply by Karka apply by Evan. And therefore, even when there's a drasha that seemingly an evet would be included in, such as by Kanim Miyad Liyad, still, since the Torah is telling us that the dinim that apply by karka.
In other words, it's not really that he's karka. It's not hukshul karkos. He's not karka. He's not like karka. He has dinim of karka. He's a redavar matatul who has dinim of karka. My problem only lies. What would be the din by karka, which is nayad? Mechitesi karka. Karka is not because it's karka. Karka is only because it's not nayad. That's my question. So now help me with that little piece. L'chayra karka, which is not nayad, which is nayad, which you can move from hand to hand, should also be included in nayad. You did well. Go further with it. Next stage. First of all, smile. Just smile. Don't worry about it. How many options can there be? No, start thinking options. Okay, what do you do when I ask you the second question? Don't freeze and hope for the Messiah. You know, you can hope, but this animan chol yom yavai doesn't exist in the Rambam. You know that by now. I didn't teach that to you yet. That's not You're supposed to be mitzapah for Mashiach. It doesn't say you're supposed to come any day. That's only a song from the band. Any day now I shall be released. That does not exist in, only Michelle would understand. Michelle would understand what I'm referring to. Okay. Maisa, nu chevre, what would you do? What are the possibilities? What?
Even that Rebbe's assumption is incorrect. That just because it moves.
Again?
Rebbe's assuming that because it moves.
Well, let's start. That's what I'm asking. Let's move earlier. Let's start with the pasuk. The pasuk says "Kanami yad liyad." The mute is mobility. That's the mute. The mute is, if it would have said, achuzah, some other word, some ambiguous word. Here it's very clear. The reason we know there's no enough because we need something which can be transferred from hand to hand. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean you can pick it up because we're talking elephants are included. Right? It's things which is mobile. I can move from my rishus to your rishus, to hand. Obviously means from my rishus to your rishus. I'm taking for granted. That's what it means. No one thinks of an elephant you can't exactly pick up. Shvacha Hagbor there, as you know. So, what? Yeah, I'm asking you to define it. And this is what you're asking me. I'm asking you. This is your end of the semester. Let's see what you know. From where? Did I talk about principle at the moment? No, not do anything. I'm asking Ainur. Please, just explain. Are you answering? Are you dealing with the question? Or are you finding some way to get out of it?
I don't know why.
I'm asking a simple question. The biyut is miyad liyad. That's the lashon I give more.
Why is it
What? Why is? Forget that it's nakov. I use an example. Walk away from it, if you may. I don't need it. I did it for those who don't get it. They would have an easier way to deal with this, and they would connect to it. Forget that it's nakov.
Rabbi?
Okay? Mikri, no. You can get rid of principle on that it's nakov. On them, they learn gittin in your life or learn trumas. It's karka. And if you for getting there, just roll. On a Sfina. Anybody remember that Gemara? For goodness sakes, do me a favor. I have to go back there. I did that. It was also in my house when I was sick. Okay, but at the end of the day, forget that it's knuckle. The mute is mobility. Yad the yad does not mean physical movement from hand to hand. Elephants are included. It means something which is mobile, which is transferable physically. You can transfer it to my rishus.
The
Pasuk is that. Yeah, let's look at the lashon of the Gemara in Bava Metzia. Lashon in Bava Metzia. Chav. Bava Metzia nun vav. Yeah. Gemara says Bava Metzia nun vav. V'chitimku mimker lamitecha economy miyad amitecha. Davar anikna miyad liyad. Nun vav amid beis. What is it? The fifth line it starts. There you have it. The davar anikna miyad liyad. Yotzuk hakos she'enam metaltalin. It says, what is enam metaltalin? Here, metaltalin, kakos are not metaltalin. They're not nayad.
Why is there any that assumption? That doesn't mean how.
No, because why would they say kakos she'enam metaltalin? You're a funny human being. I know the kakos is not. It's like saying yotz an elephant, which is not a cat. Thank you. If you understand metaltel means mobile, you say kakos are not mobile. Equals, they're not part of miyad liyad. Al titakesh ashtiot. Tislach li sheni omer et ze.
Could mean that the kinyan is done miyad liyad. Akbal mishicha, something along those lines.
Since when is this done miyad liyad? What does yad liyad mean? Akbar is not done miyad liyad. The only thing miyad liyad is done is masira. I don't know what you're talking about. The only din of miyad, the only kin which is yad liyad is masira. Mashiach is not yad liyad. When it says yad liyad means to say nikna miyad liyad means not the ma'aseh kinyan. Hagbar is not miyad liyad. If you mean yad liyad literally, Mashiach is not yad liyad literally. I know what you want. Only masira is miyad liyad. Did you learn about masira? That's what you asked. That's what you said there. Okay, so forget it. Oh, but you learn about Basra, Perek Hamishi, Asfina. There's Masira and Mashiach there too. The attack of the Rosh discusses Yad Liyad. Right? So come on. Okay, that's not it. So what does it mean? It means something which is transferable. That's what he says, metaltel. It moves from my rishus to your rishus. That means nikna miyad liyad means it's something different. Here's your Allah b'lei soinu hukshel. So now what does it mean? So the only reason karka is mismayit is because it's not metaltel. Then yotzu avim shukshel karkois. What does it mean? So let's understand. What's muchach here? Look, you're being mocked. You're clearly saying something which is hookish to karkois, although it doesn't have the siba of karkois, it doesn't matter. That's what you see. Okay, so obviously the siba of the karkois is not. It's just a gilur milsa. It's not a siba for itself. What they're doing is taking this yalfusa. Don't say it's a din of yad liyad emamele karkois. No, yad yad is a simon to be mafkia something. What? It's a din of karka. It's not a din of yad liyad. That's what this yafusa. Otherwise, this yafusa makes no sense. That's what I expected someone to say. Normally, you think usually in these terms, you think the agdora is yad liyad, and this is the application. Then you do your lumdus, do whatever. Forget this Gemara tells you that way. This Gemara clearly tells you that the word yad liyad. Don't take this as the agdora of the halacha. It's just a mari makim for yalfusa. When you see this, it's a very big yesod in yalfusas. You should know it doesn't use. Normally, you don't work that way. When you learn zvachim and you learn teres kainim, you see hagdoras come from yalfusas endlessly. But here, it's clearly not that way. Because otherwise, what would this mean? Hukshel avadim lekarkos. If the whole karkos is only a hechetims, is a tsura of a din. What's a din yad liyad? And so mainly, so a karkos is nothing more than a tsura. Hypothetically, if I would have something which is not karkos, which would also not be yad liyad, don't know how or what, it also would have the same halacha. And the flip side is that there would be karkos which are liyad liyad, it would also would not be in that kind of halacha. And here we see it's not that way. We see, look at the word, it says economy yad. We understand that it's not literal. You don't have to move it. It means something which is moved from rishus to rishus. What are you out to say? Everything is lemaisa moved from one rishus to another rishus. Even karka is moved from a rishus to a rishus. I buy something. When you own it, it's your rishus. Remember, we learned this. It doesn't move from a rishus. It transfers rishus. Oh, goodness sakes, anybody learn chasabatim here? Okay. Yeah, karka is the rishus of the bailim. Remember, this is like kind of my separations. Okay, I don't know really who was here then, who wasn't. You were, forget you were somewhere else. Okay, but this is a davar pashit. Okay, so let's understand. So vos meant niknami yad liyad. So there's a din of yad liyad. Let's understand what the pasuk meant. Pasuk meant it means from rishus to rishus. So it means to say. It's a metaphor of movement from rishus to rishus. a physical movement, not a legal movement, but physical movement from Rishus to Rishus. What's a physical movement from Rishus to Rishus? When you do Akbar, there's a physical movement from Rishus to Rishus. How do we understand the Yad Liyad? You weren't bothered by this. I'm always bothered by these things. So this gives me clear Agdoros of the halachas. What does Yad Liyad mean? Does it mean, as Elazar thought, meant like Maisa Kiyin, which moves from hand to hand? It's totally not true. It doesn't exist by Metaltlin either, except for Masira. So what does it mean? Movement from Rishus to Rishus. Yad is the pseudonym for Rishus. Moving from a Rishus to Rishus. Well, every kak is its transfer. It is by let's understand, what does Yad Liyad mean? What does Yad Liyad mean? Let's simply understand what it means. It doesn't mean physical transfer from hand to hand. That's not what it means. So what does it mean? From a transfer from a Rishus to a Rishus. And you're saying that he has to be metaltel because of that. Metaltel defines this is something which is metaltel. You can move from a Rishus to a Rishus. Okay, granted. Now, what would be the halacha by karka? So why is karka not true? Isn't it also, it becomes the rishus of the owner, and the new owner, and previously it was the rishus of the other owner? The answer is there's no movement from a rishus into a rishus. It is basically, the ownership, it's not a movement from control to, from domain to domain. The ownership defines the domain. What does rishus mean? We discussed this, remember? We did that to Erskainim, I did that Malbut. Okay, rishus means to say your domain, your sphere of influence. By karka, basically, it's your makom. Your makom is your sphere of influence. That's what karka is. Okay, it's called that's another pasha. The karka means you're buying a certain place, a makom. Here, I'll tell you something. I give my Taisis and Yavamis, so you understand where I'm coming from. This will also explain the concept of achuza. The Gemara says of the Amar Belazar, I mentioned this one, to call Mishain the karka in Adam. And Taisus asked the question, how can that be? That same Rav Blachman said there's nothing which is a bigger avodah malacha bzuya than the karkos. He doesn't like farmers. Okay, they state enocha malacha bzuya than karka. In fact, Taisus, how can you say call me sheik ein the karka ein adam, and then say there's no bigger malacha bzuya than karka? I mean, the tzuras adam is bazui. So Taisus, no, it doesn't mean for a farmer. Doesn't mean for a parnasa. It means to say you need a dira, a makoy livnish by bias. Begam letzarich mezay naisav. It's a lesson of Taisus. Do you have it? Yeah. No. Oh, 1 minute. Okay, I'll find it. I'll show it to you soon. I'll daffle you. I'll find it. This is the Gemara. That's a Taisus. Okay. So Lamaisa, what does it mean? It means to say that a person has to have a makkah. What the antithesis of this is the famous Gemara in Ksubis. Where is it? Namadir. Where the Gemara says Yechman Zakeh was going in the street with his Talmidim after the Churban, and he saw this young girl which was looking for food. There was such a hunger there in the dung of camels. That's where she could find her food. So the Gemara says, says, who was it? This was the daughter of Nagdima Ben Gurion, very rich person. Nagdima Ben Gurion, one of the rich people of Jerusalem. So Rabbi Yechon says, I remember. She says to him, don't you remember me? You were at my chasna. So he says, yes, I remember your ksuba. And your ksuba was who knows how big. So then Rabbi Yechon started crying. He said, Ashreichem Yisrael, Keshe oilim mala mala. Yordim mata mata umoisom lo biad lo rak biad umashfela el biad behemton shel umashfela. The Gemara says, what's umashfela? Arvoyim. Sorry, it's not bad. Not PC. Why is arvoyim umashfela? Zodot Rashi, because the yoishvei all lois b'midbaris. They are parasites. Do not have a place. Don't have a makayim. What they have is they're constantly nomadic. And a person without a bias, a makom kvius of a bias, is nomadic, and therefore he felt the Mitzuras Adam. That's what this Rashi in Ksubis is clearly the mashma of that place. I'll find the Ma'am comes in 2 minutes. Okay. That's Samach Gimel there in Ksubis? What? Was it Samach Gimel? What do you have there? What do you? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, Divamatza Shein Le'um Dis Prusa. Alpha Gavder Blazer good for common Lel call Adam Shein the Kaka in the Adam, so if them Kaka living as a Shiada, the Gamat Seven is a nice up. That's it. And what's Bizvuze, Bayrishi Ika Umnusai Bikarka. If you're Ika this is in Kaka, that's Buzzy, that's the Taisis. Don't show, tell me where they're wearing services. Look up in your whatever machine you have over there, look up Yechem and Zakeh, Nagdim Ben Gurion. It's in Ksubis. I think it's in Amad. 1 minute. It's an Amid page, bottom of the page. That could be. That could be. What do you have there? What machine is? What do you have? What? Very long since. Yeah, that's it. Pink. This is the Gemara. Here's it. It's a Mesisa Isha. Excuse me. This is the Gemara. I'll read the Gemara to you. Taner Rabban Ma'aser B'Yechem and Zakeh Shayireichev Al Chamor Vayitzim Yerushalayim Vayu Talmidim Ma'achim Achrav Roa Riba Achas Shayisom Melekidus Serving Ben Gloli Be'emton Shel Arvayim. Kivan Shirasa Yisrael Nitatfa B'Sa'arav Amdol Lefanav Amar LeRebbi Parnaseini. I need tzedakah. Amar La Biti Miyat. Who are you? Amar La Bas Nagdim Ben Gurion. That's one of the biggest Ashirim in Yerushalayim. Ani Amar La Biti Mama Shebei Savich Eichen Halach. Where did all the money go? Well, there was no Madoff then. Where did it go? So he says Amar La Biti Mama Eichen Amar La Rebbe Loi Kedin Mitlayim Mitlotas B'Yerushalayim, etc. God doesn't matter. Whatever it is, he lost the money. The Gemara says what happened there. The Gemara in Gittin says because the Kanoim burnt his warehouses. The Gemara says Chesed Shebei Savich Eichen Halach. Where did this go? So whatever, these are the questions. Amar Loi Rebbe Zachar Tashi Chasanda Ksubasi. You remember my Ksuba? Amar La Talmid of Schar Anisha Chatanda Ksubasa Shazu Esekar Elef Alafim Dinrei Zov. Can't shine. Okay, Bisman Aub the base of Via Chutz Mishel Chamea. That's just the father's side. Meretnish the Shver. A kid said this was a well-to-do young lady. Bocher Rabbi Yechon ben Zakeh v'Amar Ashreichem Yisrael. Bisman she'osim ritzon neshamakim ein kol uma v'loshin sholetus bahen. Ubisman she'ein osim ritzon neshamakim moisram biyad uma shfeila. V'lo biyad uma shfeila, biyad behemtem she'uma shfeila. Zot the Gemara, that Rashi, what's called uma shfeila? Let me find the Rashi. Last line of Rashi. Arvoyim. Kori uma shvela shesheichne oilim heim b'midbar. Thank God. Yeah, the sheichne yishlam. That's what it is. What does it mean? They're nomadic. They're called umashvel because they don't have a makam kvius of a bias. They don't have a makam as of their parasites. They are not, if I would sound like Rav Soloveitchik, I would say they're not that oisim b'tikkun oilam, they're using the oilam. But from Parsha, the pshat is something else, because they chasim, reality is something which lives in this world, oisim yeshuva oilam equals time and place. He works with a time and he has a certain makam called place. This is called yeshuva oilam. So these people, if you know your Bedouins, time is elastic, you know what I mean? And place doesn't exist. They're not living in the world. This is called umashvela. They don't have a makom. They don't have a makom of zman. They don't have a makom of metzias, as opposed to karka. That's the idea of karka. So when you're buying karka be'etzem, I want you to understand that you said what karka is. Karka means kviyas. That's the idea of what karka means. If you talked about achuza, you want to understand what I meant that every karka is achuza, because that's the getter of karka. Karka is a metzias of kviyas. That's the idea of achuza, a kvius in time and a kvius in place. It goes the door, and it's a kvius in place. That's the getter. That's why karka is called achuza. You understand? You want to chap that halacha. That's why the din is bizdei achuza. It's chayzer b'yovel. Okay. Now, obviously, we do business in real estate, so it's lav dafka your achuza. But it doesn't matter. That's what the karka is. Whether you will use it as a achuza or not, because you're the original owner, that's a technical halacha. But when the Torah wants to define what the oifi of karka is, when we look at karka as you're buying a place. You're buying a makoim, okay? And that's called what we call a kiyan achuza. Now look over here. That's what when you bought achuza, so I will explain that. But we're looking over here now. Here we're not looking at we're looking at metaltel, and the answer is no. We're looking at karka, period. Yad means something which can move from place to place. Equals you can transfer ownership. We really can't move it from your domain to my domain. I can change the owner, and Mamela will change the domain. That's the reality of it. So if that's the case, what is this? This is not something, that's what miyad liyad means. Now, obviously, what did the pasuk mean when it said that? The pasuk meant, you bought it from his rishus. Because you bought it from his rishus, as opposed to Beiki bought it and it became your rishus. That's what the Gemara alludes to. So if that's the case, so that means karka. So karka, not because it's karka and not because it's not mobile. Because karka is the idea of the makam of a person. That means his rishus, his domain. That's what karka means. Karka is not in your rishus. Karka is your rishus. It is your makam. We discussed this in the beginning of Chatzabatim. It's not in your rishus. In your rishus means the same metatlim. They are in your house. Your house is your rishus. We learned at the time the Sifra, what the Sifra says mefurish, when it says Ishki Yagdik is Beisai. There's two. The word Beisai says there twice, and the Sifra explains that what does Beisai mean? Beisai means the house and the metatlim in it. And that's why Beisai, Ma'af Beisai, Birshusai, Avkol Birshusai, it means to say because what happens, the metatlim are in the rishus, which is the house. That's how we learn metalton have to be rishusay, because there we're learning that the metalton were in a bias. If people don't learn this the free, they don't know that the pshat. That's what it means. If that's the case, we know the rishus is the house. The metalton in the rishus are in his house. The rishus is your domain. Why? Because it's your makom. And we've explained what it means for you to have a makom, okay? That's your place, okay? That's called your rishus, okay? Your rishus. In your rishus means in your domain is the metalton. That's this. So it's birshus and there's gufa rishus. So we understand that the economy miyad amisecha davar hanikta miyad liyad. We understand means taking it from a rishus to rishus. Right? Karka, it's transferring rishuyot. That's what we know. Okay. Now, is this episode? Is this a siba or a simon? That's the question on the table. Once we have this yelfusa. It's not just an idea of mobility or not because you can move it from the hands or not from the hands. That's not, forget that. It's shtiyot. The question is because karka inherently, it's not a question you can't move it, because since you can't move it, therefore, what does it mean? Because it's nothing you can take from a rishus to a rishus. That's what it means. It doesn't mean from hand to hand. You can't take an elephant from hand to hand. Try it. Okay, what do you do according to many Rishonim that hold Talush Chibroi has a din of Talush? The Avram Paskin Titla Alocha, that most houses today, especially prefabs, as opposed to houses in Israel, which are taka, where they are, I don't know if you know, these I don't want to deal with. These are probably cinder blocks. normal houses, okay? The skeleton of the house is concrete. That was liquid, it was poured, became stone. That's not Tolish Chibur, that's Chibur Mikor. There's nothing else. There was water there before. Bashenkin, these houses, these things over here, what are they? They're cinder blocks. There's nothing there for that. I doubt if there's even insulation, because in my house there isn't. So I can tell you that right now. This is literally, this. If you say Chamer b'kufis kayitz krirale, so by we're the opposite over here. By us kufis kayitz is chmimale and kufis choyrif is krirale. We're very good. We're not chamayrim here in these houses. It's cold in the winter and hot in the summer. Okay, this is the cinder block. So what that is, this karka metaltul. A glacier nafkamina for prosbol and nafkamina if you wanted to sell agav and nafkamina. I want to tell you the magavam passing the halacha. It's metaltul. I look higher, it moves. You really can't move, but that's what I didn't from metaltal. Now, how do you explain? So metaltal obviously now becomes a getter of what? As far as all halachas is concerned. You can't make a kiyah chazaka on these houses. You need sooner. Okay. Kesef by metaltal only works make your din, but midrabani you're supposed to do something else, as we all know. You need Mashiach, so here you're going to have Suda. You can't exactly do Mashiach on these houses. You probably could if you push it a bit, but at the end of the day, just the way it is. Okay, but at the end of the day, so what are we learning here? I want to understand. Once we understand that oikanai does not mean physically, can't mean. Simply can't. There's elephants. There's houses. There's some other thing. What does it mean? Say, can be moved from a rishus to a rishus? That's the cloud. When you look at his houses, are they literally, as far as law is concerned, dismembered components which happen to be piled on each other, but they're not a unit? And therefore, I have a rock pile. I'm living in a rock pile. That's what it is. So it's a rock pile. Okay, well, you start taking the components and moving it from a shut to a shut. It's more than possible. That's how we look at it. You look at this as Toshus of Chibra, he's like Talush. That's the Agdor. The Chibra is not, it doesn't change the Oifi. You understand the Lumdus. Chibra doesn't turn, Chibra of a Dover Talush Be'etzim doesn't create it doesn't change its Oifi, its character. It's called Talush, which is tied together. There are many things which are glued together, but they have dinim of two, with two things which are connected to each other. They don't become one. Okay? Biggest example would be where it says in Rosh Hashanah that a shofar shapora is puzzle. Why? Because it says shofar v'shtayim v'sholder shofars, and since shofars of a pora grow one into the other, that you don't see them. If you look carefully, they're like shofar, then another thing grows in, another goes in it. It's called shtayim v'shloisha shofars. They're tied together. So as every Tolish of Chibroi, it's called there's three things there which are not glued together, and gluing together doesn't have to make it one. Even if it's naturally glued together. Let's say Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Mitzvah, and you'll learn that, you'll know that. So anyway, this is in the third paragraph. So this is the Agdor here. Just want you to understand what Tosh of Chibur is called Metal. So what does all this mean? We're now looking at something which is what? We're looking at something which is it Birshusoi or not Birshus? We're not looking at the words anymore of Yad the Yad. That's not the issue on the table. But once you come and say L'chayra, now you say, now it's very simple to say that if you understand Abdika Mekarka, and the halach is that there's no Kiyonik Zela by Karka, and ultimately, therefore, there'll be no Kiyonik Zela by Avodim, okay, which is the stomach of the Rishon, stomach of the Gemara, okay, so Gemara, you know, it's a Gemara about Bakama Kufyat Zayin over there, so Mele, it comes out, it's also the same thing. Hooks the Karkos, because they're both not something which should be Maitzim Rishus to Rishus. Wherever it is, let me finish for a moment, okay? That's the what you would say. The problem is you're going to be, because we all know that goof is the issue. That goof is the issue, that we have la halacha not that way, that the Rif Paskins is like Karka for everything, but not by Gzela. But not by Gzela, and not by Shibudim. That was the question which you pointed out. And I mentioned last year that the Ramban Taka says that, well, maybe Gzela is different. Do you remember I quoted that Ramban? Now, why do you think Gzela would be different? So here it really goes back, but the differentiates between Gzela and Einoah. So he clearly doesn't learn what I just said. He thinks that Einoah and Shvua are something which are Enochanami, Avadim Kakakos, but it wouldn't be that way by Gzela. So before I go further, the Ramban, this is clear how the Rif understands that that's what I just interpreted is not true. At least according to Das Rif, the way the Ramban understands it. Okay, let's put this clearly on the table. That's a davar pashut. No, the idea that the evidence mismayit from Einoah is not because, so to speak, not because there's no kiyanik zayla. So the only way it can be yours if you're the bailim too. Otherwise, it's always called in the rishus of the nigzal. Well, just like karka. So if that's the case, then you're going to have to then you can make a hekesh, but it's not true. La halacha, we pass an evidence called karka for Einoah, and the Rif holds you're not called karka for gzela. For Gzela and for Shibudim. Right? What happened? Just be very specific on this. We learned that Gemara in Baba Kama, and we saw that the Rif holds that Einochanami, that we paskin like Reb Meir, that there's no din of Shinui by an Eved. An Eved, you can say you're not koinet. Why? Because he owed, because he, excuse me, he does, there's a machlekes that Tanakam Reb Meir. Okay, the machlekes the Tanakam Meir. Tanakam says that an Eved he basically has to pay kishas gzela. Why? Because, so to speak, because kakas avodim are nigzalim. Because since you have kiyan gzela, so you can't tell him Arishal Chala Fanecha. Mashenker Meir says you can say Arishal Chala Fanecha. Okay, so was the right? We saw that the Rif of the Seif Yom said that since by Shvua, since by Shibudim. The halacha is we pass like Rav Blachman that Abda Kimitaltalin and you're not going from your Saimim. Therefore, Luchera also, as far as Kiyan is concerned, Avodim are like Metaltalin and they have Kiyan Gzela. That's the Dasarif. Okay, and that's what the Razor asked the question in the Sefer Amor. How is that possible? Everyone paskins English born ala karkois, and everyone paskins there's no Einoah and by Avodim, and everyone paskins there's no Einoah by karkois and no Einoah by Avodim. So how can you suddenly differentiate between Einoah and Shvua versus this? It's interesting, how can you say that? It's interesting, their question was that, so how can you possibly say that Shibudim are different? It's interesting, he didn't say everybody paskins that there's Gzela, what's the din by Gzela, by Avodim. That he's not sure about, because over here there's a machlekes. There's a stammer the Gemara, there's no chaylik. Here there is a machlekes, Rebbeinu and Chachamim, so he's not going to ask that, but that's all he asks. He asks, how can you constantly paskin that the avodim are have no kiyan gzela? What's the why? Because they're not like karka. What's the difference between that and Einoah and Shvua? Therefore, he doesn't think there's a raya from Shibudim, and for Shibudim he explains what he explains. As we all know, the das of the Rashbam, which I explained last time we learned, to tell you your das, etc. You're the to show Adam. That's what he says. He agrees to that here in Baba Basra. He brings the Rashbam and he agrees to it. Granted, but the Rashbam himself writes in the Milchamos, he ends by saying, hey guys, the truth is with the Rashbam. But he ends at the beginning in the Shakavatai, he's offering a possibility that Shibudim and Gzela are different. That's what he's offering. He's offering that Shibudim and Gzela are different. He either say Shibudim, he says specifically on Gzela, but since we know that the Rif is coming, now you know the Gzela is different because Shibudim is different, because that's how the Rif is coming from. The Kaimalon, Avdim Kimetaltlin, the only place where we have that is by our Gemara, the Avdim Kimetaltlin for Shibud. So we say, since we know Shibudim, we know Gzela. So when the Ramban says the Gzela is different, he's really saying Shibudim and Gzela are different. That's what he's saying. Okay, so how do we understand this Ramban that Shibudim and Gzela are different? And also, let's go back. But once they are a possibility of being different, we now have to ask, so what is the pshat, and how do we understand the Alfusa by Einoah? Well, now let's go back to Einoah. According to the Ramban, that's a Rif, and this is obviously an understanding which is acceptable. How do we understand the miyut from Einoah? Bishlam, if we don't learn like him, we learned it Avdikim and Karka by Gezel. I can understand this. So just like Karka, it's not, once again, you have to be in Bailim to be the Baal HaRishus, and goodbye, Charlie. That's the way it is. Granted, I'm willing somehow to accept this. The lumdus behind it is far from me, because I understand Karka being a domain. It's a makam. I don't understand how Avadim are a makam. So that has to be, if that would be true, it has to be explained. But Lamaisa, the Ramban definitely disagrees with this. Ramban definitely disagrees with this. Okay, so then what is the Agdor going to be? How does the Ramban understand the Alfusa that we're Mamayit, Karkois, and then Avodim? So it's a davar pasha. This is what you said is true. That when he sees the word, he sees the word economy yad, he doesn't see it as that's the Agdor of the halacha. Until now, I've tried to work with the Agdor of the halacha. No, it's a mare makim of versus karka. It's a student say and not karka. As far as the mikra itself is concerned, it can't be talking about avodim because avodim is a alfusa. When this pasuk said what it said, okay, what does it mean? This is mashmar's darship. It's a miyat from the words, from the pasuk itself. Okay, we're not learning it from a hekesh. This is a mashmas pshuta, and it says here there's a halacha. The pasuk comes say we don't mean kaka. Why not kaka? It doesn't say. How do I know not kaka? Because the pasuk is mashma something which is metaltal, but now it's a din in kaka. So all these lishonis are not the agdar the halacha. They marry makim to a din. Now this makes tons of sense if I understand that the shirish of the halachas are not the alfusas. They're only a marry makim to a known halacha. This makes life a little bit easier. Because if the shirish of the halacha is the alfusa, I have very hard time to accept that the usage of the language of the alfusa won't be magdir their halacha. But if I understand that the halacha is known beforehand, we're just trying to find out where is it found in the mikra, or Ramuz in the mikra, where the Rambam explains it as Akdamat Mishnayis, so I have much less of an issue to say that these words are not magdir the halacha. They're a makam to teach me a known halacha. We knew the karka is out. You want to know where it's Ramuz in the mikra from there. But basically, it came from a Pirush called Misina that we knew the karka is out. So the halacha is not this. The halachas karka is out. How is that Ramuz in the mikra from these words? I repeat, that can only fit logically if we understand that the shorish halacha is, as the Rambam writes, is not the alfusa. The alfusa is the way we know the halacha mekubal misinai in the mikra. If hypothetically this would be a drashim midivrei seifrim at the Ramban calls, something which we don't have a Pirush Misinai, but something which Chazal would actually create their own drasha of Yud Gimel Midas to try to create a new halacha which you didn't get at Sinai, then there's no question in my mind. I would have to say that the tzuras hadrasha would magdir that halacha. I wouldn't know more than that. I couldn't extrapolate from here to anywhere else. That's what I'm trying to say. Here it seems to be clear to me that the halacha was a din of karka. Period. No, once it's a din of karka, how do I not karka because it's not metaltal? No, karka because since it's not metaltal, it doesn't fit in the words miyad liyad. So it's not because karka is not metaltal be'etzem. The usage of the word karka, which is not metaltal, and therefore it's not included in the words miyad liyad. This is a remiss to our known halacha. Then I begin to understand these yalfuses. Once I know that, so it's a din in karka, not because not metaltal, not in anything. Anything which is called karka would have this halacha l'chayra. Okay, so that's now life is breathable. Okay, without that, I'm choked. Honestly, it couldn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and you shouldn't be sleeping at night when you have a thing like that. So this is l'chayra davar mavur. Now the question really is, what would be the difference now? So that I understand the Ramban. And the Roman has to be because of that. Because that's how I asked you in the beginning, how did you read this Yalfusa? So I went around in circles. To point to connect. I would have said X, you could have said Y. I had to come to the Ramban and finally be Machriach. That's Mukhrach. That's why we did this. And, the way it is, because when you write a tshuva halacha, you can't just say maybe. You have to, it has to be. Okay, so now this is so. Now we're going back to the question, Hukshalik Arkos. What does it mean? What does it mean, Evan Hukshalik Arkos, and try to understand that. So I'm going to go back to something we learned in the past for 1 minute. I sent you, by the way, I showed you told me a Bach. I showed you Chuvas Harosh. Did you see that Chuvas Harosh I sent you? So first, at Chuvas Harosh that there's an Isser Gesel, there's no Isser Gesel by Karkos. Bach interessiert mich zu viel. About Chuvas Harosh is a you pick your hands up and say, I don't know. So it's unfortunate machlokes. We know it's clear. The Ram doesn't learn that way. Rashi doesn't learn that way. But what's the Rosh going to do with the Sifri, with the Teres Kainim? Excuse me. The only thing he can do, he has to have some bavli somewhere, which is mufurish not that way. He's got to show a bavli not that way. Now, here the question is, which bavli does it mean? It can be what? Or Yerushalmi, find someone. No, Rosh is not in the habit of passing a Yerushalmi against the bavli unless there's a reason for it. Okay, you have to find a bavli which is muvur not that way. I can guess. It depends how you learn the sugya in the beginning of Ezer Neshech, but this is not here. If we learn Bava Kama next year, I would do it just for the kicks. Go through the sugya in Ezer Neshech well in the beginning of Ezer Neshech with the Rishonim there and see what the afusis are. It may be there. I'm just giving you a remez. It's like you benched. You know what I mean? It's not. It's you have to like roll a little bit, but it's workable. It's very hard. I'll be honest with you. I would do this, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't write it down. Okay, but yeah, the old saying is, I can weasel out of it. It doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. You understand? That's the problem. You can get out of the question. The baya. Is this muchach? That's the pshat. If I can't, I'm not going to do it now. But it really depends. I don't have. If I had a rush there, which is muchach, the way I have an option there, then I would work. I don't have wheat. I have swirlach. It's garnished. Okay, so the tzarchin is better than saying you know something here. So at the end of the day, what's the pshat in that tais? I want to go back to that tais for a minute in Bava Metzia. I want to just explain what's there. In light of that, understand here. It all starts with a Taisus and Sukkah. Taisus and Sukkah writes, let's understand Sukkah. Be nice to me. Sukkah. Beginning of Lulav Agazel, there's a Taisus. Taisus writes, if I mean, right, Taisus Ramasal Ava Gazel Eitzim Sichich Behem, Lamed Aleph Amid Aleph, bottom of the Taisus. So Taisus, you know what? I'd love to read the whole Taisus, but let's just look at the last 4 lines. It's enough for me at the moment. V'leidami lekarka to becheskes habaylim oimedes. Do you see it? Sukkah, Lamed Aleph, Amid Aleph. Elazar, you have it? Good. You have this, it's in a key. What is it? You have this bar line. It's in a, I don't know. Oh, there's a key there. Key. What do you do on Shabbos?
Just for, I don't really only use it for shear or something.
It's nice. Yeah, man. I like the smell of books. I have to. What do you do when you get angry at something? You can't make a note on it.
Write it down somewhere else.
Yes. Put red ink under it. You never did that before? I do that a lot.
I'm not so confident.
Doesn't this makes no sense. Green ink, red ink, you know what I mean? You have to be angry at a book. Right. So Taisves, Kivad Leikaim B'Shus Shuriv, Leidami Leikaka, the Becheskes Abaylim Oimedes, V'lakach Ein Karka Nigzelis. It's a very important Taisves, so if you have a sukkah, open it up. And if not, I'll read it again. Leidami Karka, the Becheskes Abaylim Oimedes, V'lakach Ein Karka Nigzelis. So Yimami says a reason Ein Karka Nigzelis because it's Becheskes Bailim Oimedes. That's clear as day, right? Now, does that mean to say that there's no Isser Gzela, or does it mean to say there's no Kinyana Gzela? No, if we're going to take for granted, except for this Chuvas Arush, I'm not going to start sticking every Rishon according to some Chuvas Arush, which I was able to see. It was underlined in my Chuvas Arush. I didn't remember when we spoke. But then afterwards, I came up and says, well, I don't know. I've seen this somewhere. So yeah, it's there. Okay. Outside the Chuvas Arush, I don't know anyone that says this. Is there an Isser Gzela? Well, we know this is free. We brought down the Rashi and the Rambam and say for our mitzvahs that Lisasik Vul Rishonim, that's the halacha that a person which there's an Isser Gzelis Karka, Rashi brings this in Dvarim. We saw that. Okay, Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs and also in Yad. That's the Chayre Davar Pashit. So there is a lot. Who didn't know this? The Pnei Yeshua didn't know this. It was a Pella Otzim. How could he not know Sefer Mitzvah? He doesn't know Torah's Kainim. I'm not worried about. Doesn't know Medrash Halacha. But he knew Rambam. Man, it's like frightening to understand this. I don't understand what he did. The Yeshua over there, but Mitzvah forgot this. It's a very frightening thing. But Lamaish, that's what it comes out to be. So according to that, what does it mean? Why do you need, what's the idea of karka versus, for karka, there's an Isser Gzela. How are you going to do that? Very simply, by throwing him out of his yard. Throwing him out, mishtalet al rechush. Don't let him get to his rechush. That's enough for an Isser Gzela. Now let's understand when I say this. Also, I looked it up. So I didn't send to you. So it's Chuvas or Advaz, Chelik Beis, Simon, Tough Yud, or Tough Ratio. I have to look it up again. I saw the Advaz again. He says, Mefurish, that, part of a Heshiv is like Zela Asher Gozal is paying loans on time. And unbelievable. Hitaka says, Mefurish, that Koivish Schar Socher is Gazel. Now, it doesn't mean, what's it based on? It's based on the Gemara in Bab Metzia, in the beginning of Perek Ezaneshech, where the Gemara asks, why do we need a pasuk for Gazel and for Inoah and for Leisashek and Koiv Yisar Schocher? They're all the same thing. You're basically enriching yourself immorally, or ribis. And the Gemara says each one has a separate thing it needs for, but in principle, they're all an idea of Gazel. Gezel there, we see from that Gemara where you say, look at like Sigzo, you look at like Sigzo in a broad context, and then you look at like Sigzo in an isolated context. There's the common denominator of like Sigzo, which is found in Ribis, which is found in Kaivish, in not paying, like Solim Pula Socher, not paying on time. All these are included in the broad idea of Gezel, which means they being enriched immorally. Ribis is the money is mine. We learned that in a Ritva and Kedushin. Remember we did that when we did the Sugi over here by Rav Nachman and Rava. I stipulated Ribis, you owe me the money, but it's immoral. It's that right to take it. Therefore, if you took it, the Gemara thinks you should be like Sigza. It's called self-enrichment with someone else's money in an immoral way, if I'm going to include Ribis into it, okay? Well, that will also include not paying your debts. You're enriched due to someone else. That's a Rashi. We learned that Rashi in Gittin, Daflam, Vavam, base. Person doesn't pay the Goslin. So that's not Goslin. There's no Kiyan Exela there. There's no, it's not, but is it the Isser of the Sigzal? Yes. Now, what does that mean? And that's the Chuvas or Advaz. I have it written down somewhere, but I'll send it later, these Marmakaims. But it's a Davar Pashit. Based on that Sugi in the beginning of Ezanesha. That we look at Leisigzon, a broad outside of its localized small story of I stole something you forcibly, etc. That's true. That has dinim, it has kefil, it has daled v'hei, it has a lot of good things in it, and that no one thinks that would apply if you don't pay your debt. Let's get it straight. So we understand basically the issue is a broad idea of enrichment from other people's funds in an immoral or / illegal way. The other thing is there's Sigzal in the localized story, which is a very localized story. It has to be with force, not devious, it has to be frontal, out, the Goslin. And there you have Din of Keren with Kefil, with Allah Gutazach, and you have everything under the Kiyon Exela, all the nice things that happen. So obviously we understand that there's no din of Maisik Zela for the Isser. Because there's no Maisik Zela in basically not paying schar on time. There's no Maisik Zela when the guy gives me the ribbis and the Gemara is willing to see it's like Sigzal. So obviously we understood that the broad understanding of the issue of Gezel does not demand a Maisik Zela. It means enrichment, immorally or illegally, with other people's monies. That's number one. The whole din of Maisik Zela, etc., is for the localized, unique seer of Gezel, which is the Ve'igzel Zachanis Miyad HaMitzri. You did something forcibly, took someone else's money, which has all the purity halachas of Kinyan Zela, etc. There's a din of Maisik Zela. That's the getter of Maisik Zela. Now, how do I know that? Just to explain that you need a good old-fashioned Maisik Kinyan. Now, this is actually an instinct Taisvis in the beginning of the third parak of Ksubas. I have ksubas. Where's ksubas? Ksubas here? No, this isn't ksubas. This is Rav Blachman. Oh, this is ksubas. Third parak of ksubas. Entering machlekes here. Taisus Lamed Aleph Amid Beis. Dibra Amaschel Ubershus Harabim. The machlekes of Ri and the Ritzbah. Ri's shita is that to be chayv in kiyanik zela, what you need to do is they make a mashicha. You can make a shicha from a rishus hayachid into a rishus harabim. Now, normally that doesn't work from mashicha. You have to bring it either into the rishus hayachid or into a sidei rishus harabim. There's no mashicha in rishus harabim. Why? Because this is a symbolically taking out of rishus of the makna, bringing to the rishus of the kaina. Sidei Rishus Harabim, as we know, Rashi writes in Bab Metzia in the middle of the first parak, Chazal set it aside for people. It should be like Rishusam for Kinyonim. Look it up in the Mishnah of Dalad Amos over there, you'll find that. That's what Rashi says over there in Bab Metzia. So we understand that normally Mashiach has to be something which is at least symbolically like bring it into your Rishus. Okay, by Gazel. So in other words, you can't be Moshe for someone else's Rishus. Taking it into Rishus Harabim won't help. Zoktari, that's all true for regular kinyanim, because you want to take away from him and bring it to become totally yours. But he said, but by a goslin, you don't want it to make it totally yours. You just want enough to have kiyonik zayla. For that's enough to make a mashicha, which is taking away from him. We don't care if you bring it into Rishus Haram. I don't need the symbolic bringing it into your Rishus. It's enough taking away from your Rishus. Zoktari even flourish. So the Ri, what Omer B'Meichus Asfin Dabai V'Rabba Tervayu the Mashiach Loi Kani B'Shutz Harabim. I may read the Loi Pligad Ravina Hacha. Ravina says you can be Moshe into Rishus Harabim. The law Lakom the Kani Hainu LeInyan Lischai B'Einsin of Ein Kani Sheyesh Shalei LeGamra. There is a kinyan, but since it's not like you're just taking away, you're a koine. But since your koine is limited only for responsibility, for there we don't, as a goslin. We don't need that part of the Mashiach bringing into your Rishus. We need the idea of taking from the Rishus and bringing it away from him. That makes you, for Giyanik Zela, that's enough. You're koina, but not a koina legamra. The Ritzbah argues, Ritzbah niralai, the Polig, and he says, She'en leganav li'schayv el v'shicha ru'uyo lekinyan. And therefore it has to be dafka in Tzidur Rishus Harabim or in Rishus Hayachid. This is a machlekes of Ri and Ritzbah. We see clear from all of them that there's an acquisition. The question is, what's the tzur of the acquisition? Yeah, you have to acquire it. When I say Maisik Zayla, I don't mean Maisik Zayla in a simple, like some kind of a lav sheish Maisa. I mean to say, you need a kinyan. For kinyanik Zayla, you need a kinyan. Now the question is, do you need a kinyan aroy, the kinyan ba'alma? And for you, you're going to have a limited kinyan of B'schai B'Einsin, and therefore you need also from Rishus Yachid to a Tzidei Rishus Harabim or to a Rishus Hayachid, not into Rishus Harabim. That's a Ritzbah. Ri says no. For Kiyanik Zela, the acquisition, he doesn't say you're not koine. He says you are koine, but not legamra, only la'oinsin. That kinyan is enough with this tzur. Kulam lo pliga, that's what the Maisa kinyan is. So the Maisa Zela is there basically for the Kinyanik Zela. So obviously what Taisus is saying here, although Lamaisa, we know that we learn what's the miyut of Gezel? It's also klal u'prat u'klal. So Gemara, okay, it's a klal u'prat u'klal. We learn it from V'kichesh. It's dumel lepikadon. There we learn dumel lepikadon. There's a klal u'prat u'klal by shvua. What's the shvua? We're talking about a shomer, which is kaifer b'pikadon. He's a shalech yad kaifer b'pikadon. So that's a din of Gezel, right? We all know that. Shlichus Yad B'Pikadon, that's Gezel, that's the shvu of a Gazlan. And there we have the halacha that what? That that there's a klal u'prat u'klal. And the prat is davra mit pikadon. So we understand anything which is a pikadon. A stop pikadon is not karka. A pikadon is something that you're mafkid by somebody. That's a davar metatul. Afuka karka. Karka doesn't have it in the shmira. We learn from there. There's no shmira on karka. There's no you can make whatever you want, but there's no parsha shemachina shemesach on karkos, and there's no gazel on karkos. That's where we learn it from. Dumila pikadon. That's what this is. That's a klal u'prat u'klal. And that we learn what? Now, what does that mean? So obviously, Taisus understands here that the Agdora is what? The Agdora is because there's no Maisa Kinyan by Karka. There's no Maisa of taking out of a Rishus, bringing into Rishus. That's only possible by Mashiach. No possibility of taking out of a Rishus without becoming the total owner. And since by Gaza you don't become the total owner, so there's no Maisa Kinyan. You never took it out of his Rishus. That's what Taisus says. It's only, that's what Taisus writes in Sukkah. Even the Leikaimer B'Shus HaShurim, Leidam Leikakir B'Cheskes Abai Lamez, Lekach En Kaka Nixelis. So Taisus is telling me what taka is the pshat in the pasuk. Where does Taisus get this from? That's an interesting question. Okay, well, we have to go through the kashas that he asked, etc. We go back to other places, but that's Shitas of Taisus, which is mefurish. It's not a maybe; it's a mefurish of Taisus. In light of this, that we understand that, now we can look back at another Taisus in Bava Metzia. Taisus says in Bava Metzia, there the Gemara has a question in the beginning of Ezaneshech. Daf Samach Aleph Amid Aleph. The Gemara asked Taka, why do we need different psukim by Koiv Yishchar Socher? In Chayr we can learn from Gazlan. The Gemara says, why do you need Lois Hashoik? The Gemara says, Laval B'Shnei Lavim. The Chayr there's the last two lines of the page. Last two lines of the page. In Samach Aleph. Fact Taish Akasha Vim Tamer Likvam Begazel Gufa. Let's say he's talking by Gezel, V'lavo b'shnei lavim. Why do you need to say that the pasuk is going by Koiv Yishchar Socher? Say the pasuk is going by Gezel. Excuse me, beforehand. V'im timer and the Ramascha elo lav the Gezel lav the Koiv Yishchar Socher. V'im timer v'luktam begezel gufe ubegezel avodim. Le'osim miribis v'ayinot. The Gemara want to say, where are you going to learn Gezel from? Gezel Avodim. You can't learn Gezel Avodim from Ribbis and Einot. Why not? Because there is no Gezel by Avodim. There is no Ribbis by Avodim. There is no Ribbis by Einot. We know that from the cloud Pratu Cloud. Was bleibt. So Sakasha. If that's the case, Ve'ena no Avodim. Kidam La'el. The Karka Eina. What does he answer? The Karka Eina Nixelis Eina Min HaMikra El Mishum Di Efshel Azuza Mim Kaima. What does Taisus really mean? Does Taisus mean that there's no pasuk? Taisus didn't forget Gemaros. That's impossible. What did Taisus mean? It says, "Hada karka ein nixelis einem min hamikra ela di'ef shaluzuzum imkaima." Now this is clearly the Taisus in Sukkah Lamed Aleph, with that is mefurish in Taisus that says that la'alacha. So this isn't like a havamina. So what does Taisus mean here? When it says Eina min hamikra, ela d'lei otzei le'yef shalazuzah b'mkaima. It's clear that yef shalazuzah b'mkaima is the hagdara of what we learned from Dumah L'Pikadon. It's a nice way of saying it doesn't say anywhere that karka is mismayit. It says Dumah L'Pikadon. That's what it says. Now, since it only says Dumah L'Pikadon, you can now come and say what's the Agdor of Karka, and it is taka the reason, going to Taisus and Sukkah, because practically you can't be making Maisa Kinyan. So what's the pasuk saying? The drasha is saying that something without a Maisa Kinyan doesn't have Kiyan Exela. That's the drasha. Pasuk simply say you need a Maisa Kinyan. Without a Maisa Kinyan, there's no Kiyan Exela. Alpha B, there could be Isur Exela, but there's no Kiyan Exela without a Maisa Kinyan. Very simple. If that's the case, that's what it says. If that's the case, he says, well, of Avdid and Naida, they are Dumah L'Pikadon equal. You can't do a Maisa Kinyan. Alpha Gav Dukshi Kakos Yavah B'lei Sigzon. Taisus bleibt the kasha. It's very clear that the thinking of Taisus here is nothing more than a reflection of the same Balei HaTaisus in Sukkah Lamed Aleph Amid Aleph. This is the two Balei HaTaisus which say the same thing. Taisus they writes it Lahem Hamina Emes. That's Maskonis HaTaisus. So Taisus Taka understands, this is the Shitas of Taisus both here and there, that the pshat is there's no mefurish pasuk that says not karka. It says Dumah L'Pikadon. It can mean a million things. So if wherever Taisus got this, he understands the pshat in that Yafusa is that saying one thing, that in order to have Kiyan Exeli, you need a Maisa Kinyan. Taking from Rishus to Rishus, which is not possible by Karka. And the pirish of this Tosfos is Sukal Amidav. The Yeshua blew it. Okay. And we taught this once. I'm saying something I didn't say in the past. Okay. It's much clearer and cut the way it should be done. Okay. That's it. There's nothing more Tosfos is saying. It's not mafurish in the mikra. Okay. I had the taiva to say something else. The enemy mikra is like davar she'eino mafurish mikra, like in the Rashbam. I didn't say that because that's not the same lashon. I know what I did. I had the taiva to say it. I didn't do it because that happens. Enemy mikra says something else. Okay. Enemy mikra. It's not that it says that's all it says. What's the Agdora? What's the Agdora there? So the Agdora there is once again, is it Mamai Enim and Amikra, is Mamai Karka? So he says, well, it's Mamai Karka because of a certain Nakuda of Karka. Here he finds a Svara, and I repeat, the beauty would be to find where this Svara is from. Okay, but that's another Pasha to Tosfos in two places. This is obviously what the Ramban is saying. Ramban is obviously saying, since it's not min mikra, so what do you get it by karka? But karka is not because it's karka. It's because you can't do a ma'aseh zayla with it. Okay, because there's no way of taking it from a rishus to a rishus. Well, avodim, you can. That's Zichar Pshat in the Ramban Dasarif. Now the shaila is, what does it mean by shibud? Now your question is, okay, so by zayla, which he writes, I understand, but he proves this svara from shibud. And the answer is very simple. No, he proves it because he himself writes at the end that he totally agrees with the Svar of Rashbam and Baba Basra. And what did Rashbam and Baba Basra say? Rashbam and Baba Basra said there's no shibudim by karkos, even the old shibudim de Raisa, and we learned it from, well, according to Rashbam, from the pasuk of Yotzi Lecha Ovet Achutza. It's a pasuk. He understands that the pshat in Yotzi Lecha Ovet Achutza is once again based on a hanacha, what the Malva had in Das b'shas alvor. It's not like I'm a first pasuk saying that what? That on karka there is, and on metalton there's not. We understand what the reasoning from the svara of the mikra is, then we make nafkamis between karka and metalton. So this is what Ramban is doing, just like you saw by Shibudim. You knew how to differentiate between karka and metalton. From where? Because you said, what's the svara of the shibud? The smichas das of the malva. What did he intend? B'shas avor. He's saimach on karka. He's not that much saimach on metalton. So just like you knew to do that, you knew to take svaras to understand the pasuk. By gezel, we also take those svaras. We have a simpler svar of enabushi. You can't do my kinyan. So that's how we extrapolate. The extrapolation from gezel to karka, from gezel from shibud, is the fact that we use, I would say, we conceptualize this halacha and therefore make differences. There's no indication in the drasha. According to Rashbam, we learned from Mashkin, from Yotzi Lecha Ovet Achutza. Does everybody remember that? We saw that inside. We learned the sugya, not from Orev, not from other places. If we learned from Orev, it would be easy, okay? That Ramah was nice, but Rashbam learns from Yotzi Lecha Ovet Achutza, and Afa Pikein uses the svaras like Orev, which means he understands, he takes the drasha and then conceptualizes it, explains it what it means in human nature. Well, if that's because if you can do that there, then we can do the same type of thinking in the Al-Futsa by Gzela. It has a reason behind it. Now your question is, if this is so obviously true and there's a reason behind it, then you really have to go back and ask them, what's the difference between, what is the reasoning between Shvuah and Einor that you think they are the same? That's the question. Once you're capable of Mr. Ramban, and this is the Charadas of Rashbam too, because the Maisa is how we paskin, okay, like that riff. That Shvuah, that so to speak, that the Gezel and Shibudim, we take a time of the cross approach, so to speak, and therefore make our differences. And we say Avadim are depending on mobility for Gezel, and Avadim depends on mobility for Shibudim, but Avadim does not depend on mobility for Einor or for Shvuah. Okay, now tell me the difference. You know, you have to have some kind of a different approach to the Ukshik HaKosh there, which allow it to logically not have shvua, and logically not have ainah, as opposed to here. We can't just run away with the word ukshu anymore. Once the Rishonim, cut away the layer of the Lord said so, they actually said you have to think. Good people. Okay, well, I have to think about this too. Well, that sorry, when? I don't know when. Bye. So tomorrow, 12 o'clock, my friends, we are learning here a shtickle of tinus. It all started because I told David, I said to Yom Tshuva, so I'm going to discuss that. We'll learn Rambam. You guys will be asleep. Do Tshuva.
I won't.
You can be up.
3 and a quarter.
12 o'clock.
Dover and
Just 1 minute. I want to close this just 1 minute.